This is the Moon Tower Podcast with your host, Ian Hubbard. Alrighty, we are back with take 2. First two-parter on the show. I don't know why I'm singing this, but I feel very operatic.
Make them laugh, make them laugh.
It's show time, hi. Let's take the show to Broadway, Nate. Fuck it.
Yeah, why not?
Alright, well,
Why not?
ended off the last segment with me talking about our grandiose premiere of the film of Le Cinema.
Le Cinema.
Le Cinema. You actually had a good point during the break of interesting times you've had at the movies or shows or whatnot.
More so like concerts and whatnot, I guess.
Okay. What you got for me? What you got for the folks?
Oh man, I've been to quite a few. Like I got to see Typo Negative before Peter Steele died.
Okay.
That was over at Headliners back when that was still, pretty popping over there.
I think my old friend of mine said that she partied with that dude like after the show.
Yeah, no, that guy was friggin' legendary, in my opinion.
What I heard,
Yeah.
he loved his wine.
Oh yes, he did. Wine and apparently Jägermeister. He had like his own like little like what do you call that thing? Like in
Stand?
you're at church or whatever. They got like
Podium?
Yeah, podium. Yeah,
Steeple?
he has a podium or whatever. He just has like a big old thing of Jägermeister. He's just taking swigs whenever it's convenient.
Ugh.
And on top of that show, like 3 Inches of Blood opened. That was really good.
Oh, man.
Mobile Death Camp, which what is it? The guitar player or used to be the bass player Guar at one point or another.
I heard they put on a good show. I've never seen them.
Yeah, they were bad. I mean, I haven't seen them in years since then, but like I do remember them putting on a solid set. It wasn't bad. And then the final act was Hatebreed.
Oh man.
And I don't know, I'm pretty green as far as like metal shows go. I think I was like 17 at the time.
There you go.
And yeah, the entirety of that set was just like mosh pit. I remember just like getting mowed over by like huge dudes. Like I lost my shoe. That wasn't fun. I almost got trampled a couple times. So being green 17-year-old metalhead, that was quite an experience.
2010, 11.
Before that, I would have been 2007.
Okay, so that would have been
Yeah.
still around the time of like Perseverance and shit.
Yeah,
Hatebreed.
yeah,
Talking about family and honor and loyalty and whatever that shit is.
yeah.
But
I think the summer after that, I went to, it was Ozfest 07. That was the one where they had like the free tickets or whatever if you bought Ozzy's album that was new at the time.
Okay.
It's like Black Rain or something like that.
what was it? I almost went to the Ozfest when Maiden headlined, like 04, 05 or some shit.
Yeah, it must have been around then. I think one of my old buddies used to like go to Ozfest like every year. I think he went to that one.
Because that was like when I was getting really, really into like Maiden and Priest and shit.
Oh yeah, no, that must have been a good one.
I didn't end up going because my brother and his girlfriend ended up breaking up like right before we were supposed to go. It was around the time it was in high school, and it was around the time of fucking 2-a-days.
Mm-hmm.
Like the big practices before the season starts and shit. And
Gotcha.
I decided to do that instead of going to have fun.
Yeah. The year I went, what was it? Headlining. It was Static X, Lordy, which is kind of like discount, like foreign Guar,
Okay.
if you've ever heard that. And then, who else? Lamb of God, right before Ozzy was on. And that was actually really good.
Nice.
I remember during Lamb of God set, like, the entirety of, like, the grass crowd or whatever, like, everyone on the lawn, just throwing dirt clods at the seats. Like beer bottles and shit. Like we were like dodging like dirt clods and beer bottles the entire time the Lamb of God set. It was actually kind of fun.
They do the Wall of Death.
No, there wasn't a wall of death. It was more just like a circle pit that kind of encompassed about 40-minute to an hour block. So
When I saw Lamb of God at the Fillmore in 2012, they played with Hell Yeah and fucking In Flames.
okay,
And obviously Lamb of God headline. at the Fillmore, which is not a big venue. They had a fucking wall.
Oh
of
yeah,
death.
yeah. I've been there.
I've been there for a few shows. I saw that one. I saw the Cult at the Fillmore 2 days after I saw Sabbath at DTE.
Okay.
When they were on the album 13.
Yeah.
They were on that tour. I saw Primus at the Fillmore. Who else? Who the fuck else did I see at the Fillmore?
I'm trying to think if the Summer Slaughter I went to, where actually I was in two Wall of Deaths at that one. It was one during Obituary and one during Dying Fetus.
Okay.
And that was kind of sweet. And then on top of that, what was it? There's a guy in a wheelchair, and they're helping the dude crowd surf.
Nice.
In a wheelchair. I was like, man, that's got to be sweet.
Nice.
You know, like, I thought that was like, you know, like a testament to like the metal community. It's like, yes, that's what it's all about. It's about that brotherhood and all that good stuff.
Nice. There was I think at the Cult concert there was a dude. He had like a fake leg that he got like threw into the pit or threw into the crowd. But I remember in particular Ian Astbury because he always has his tambourine.
Mm-hmm.
He fucking chucked it at this guy because he was heckling him from the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
And this dude reached over him and caught it, and it split into his hand. I remember seeing him after the show. He had like just a gash in his hand. He was like, "Oh, I got a fucking tambourine." He was like waving it in people's faces, like jingle jangle and shit. The only circle pits that I got into was when my dude Justin scored free tickets to Rock on the Range 2008.
Okay.
That was when STP was touring again with Wyland.
Okay.
Or, you know.
That's me, brother.
Yes. And that's STP. They've caught a lot of shit over the years and whatnot. I don't care. They're still one of my favorite bands of all time. I don't count anything with Chester or the new singer, or whoever the fuck it is. I don't count that. It's Wyland or bust.
Yeah.
But I got to see them, and that was fucking amazing. They put on a hell of a show. But the second day, the whole deal was he somehow got in contact with the tour manager or the merchandise manager of Seven Dust.
Huh. Okay.
And the whole spiel was all we had to do was walk around and hand out like sample demos and stickers and patches and shit, and we were just like giving them to people, but we got free tickets out of it.
That's pretty sweet. I imagine that's like you know, at the end of shows you see guys like passing out like little flyers and stuff. Like that's pretty much what you were doing.
Well, we were doing that like throughout.
Gotcha,
like in the beginning of both days, and then we ended up actually seeing the shows. We saw I saw Five Finger Death Punch.
Oh god!
Like before they got big.
Yeah.
And they were horrific. I saw Finger 11, Shinedown when they were still decent. Surge on his first solo.
That would probably would have been cool. I liked his his first and third solo album.
I can't remember the names of them.
I used to be a big System of a Down fan, so.
Oh yeah. That was another band that, well, especially my brother was big into, especially when Toxicity hit.
Yeah, I got to see them once. That was over at DTE.
Nice.
That was a good show. I wish I would have got there early enough to actually see. What was it? It was Deftones that opened for him.
Okay.
Chino did end up coming out and like singing a song with System though, so that was kind of cool.
Nice. Who else did we see? We saw Killswitch. Saw Disturbed. Stain played, but we left for that. Then STP came on the first day. The second day was, we were mainly out on the second stage where they had Drowning Pool after Dave died. So the dude from Soil, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Saw them. Saw Seven Dust. It was more like toying around the second day. It was. I still kind of feel bad for Russell Axon. If you listen to this one, I'm still sorry. Headlining the second night was Three Doors Down and Kid Rock.
Oh god.
Well,
more so to the Kid Rock. I mean, Three Doors Down's like boring, but they're not terrible, I guess. So I don't know.
Well, Kid Rock was headlining the second night, and you know what? I'm not a big fan, but the dude, he brings it.
I'm sure he's a good showman or whatever. It's just like, I don't know, like the entirety of the fan base and all that. It's like, I don't know. That's just my opinion, I guess.
Yeah, I don't get it either. But we were sitting there, I'm like, hey, let's just leave because it's in Columbus. We're gonna come back that night anyways. I'm like, let's just take off. Let's beat the crowd. Blah blah blah. And it's one of those things. Obviously, when you leave, you can't come back in.
Yep.
And Russ was sitting there like, no, it's just give it a minute, because he had that sixth sense about something. I'm like, oh, I kept griping and bitching and pissing and moaning. I'm like, fuck this, let's get the fuck out of here. So we're like, fuck, and Justin was driving, and he's like, fuck it, all right, let's just go. So, I'd shut the fuck up. We get out to the fucking parking lot, and then we hear Kid Rock go, I want to bring on my next motherfucker, Rev Run. And Russ was a big Run DMC fan. He was just like, motherfucker. And he's like, fuck you, dude. You're a fucking asshole. Blah, blah, blah. I was just like, oh, man. They fucking did a couple Run DMC tracks and shit. And he was fucking pissed, man. It was the only time I've ever seen him pissed, and it was at me. I felt so fucking bad. He's like, he looked at me like we're walking to the car. It was a silent walk back to the car. He just looked at me. He's like, I was like, I'm sorry. And before I could even say, he's like, shut up. You're an asshole. But earlier in the day when Seven Dust was on, I got fucking thrown into like I was crowd surfing and got thrown into all 3 circle pits and got busted on the cement and shit. But it was kind of cool. Like at the end of their show, Morgan Rose, their drummer, fucking chucked his sticks into the crowd, and I caught one, so that was pretty tight. Got it autographed, which is, I don't know where it is. I think my mom has it in the basement.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to score one of Pat O'Brien's picks from the Cannibal Corpse show I went to a couple days ago.
Nice.
I was surprised there wasn't like any like branding on it. It was just like standard like Tortex sharp pick or whatever you want to call that. Nice. For you guitar nerds out there, that's what they use.
There was that show. Fucking. So Motorhead, when they played with Megadeth, that was at Auburn Palette.
Auburn Hills.
Yes.
Palace at Auburn Hills. Yes, yeah.
Thank you. Where the Pistons used to play.
Yep.
That was Lacuna Coil, Volbeat, Motorhead, and Megadeth.
That sounds like a good lineup.
We missed Lacuna Coil. We got there right as Volbeat was going on. I wasn't too keen on them, but they put on a decent show. And then fucking Motorhead came on. I'll never forget it, dude. Like, they had the banner, they had, the drums and everything set up, and then Mickey D came up to a set, and then Phil Campbell came out and started tuning his guitar, then fucking Lemmy walked out of the smoke. Dude, it was literally like some fucking mythological shit. And
Promethean quality.
Straight up, he walked out with the Rickenbacker, and the place was just like, like the fucking Dalai Lama walked out.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it. There's this dude standing behind me, and I just hear him go, dude, he's real. He's actually real. And then they
it's like seeing Santa Claus or something, but like,
oh, fuck Santa Claus.
Yeah. I'd rather have Lemmy, honestly.
Yeah. He's just like, dude, he's actually real. And then they fucking ripped into Bomber, and then ripped for an hour, and it was fucking loud. It was so loud. And
would you say that's the loudest concert you've been to? Or up there at least?
Well, as far as like a venue like that, probably. I would say because they were known for fucking pumping 120 decibels on average.
Like, what is it? Back in March, I went to go see Sleep, and that is the single loudest concert I've been to, but in the best way possible.
Yeah.
Like, each dude had like a stack of orange amps, like 15 cabs each. Like, both bass player, guitar player. Like, what's his dude's name? Matt Pike is guitar player. I can't remember the bass player's name off the top of my head. But, yeah, Mike Pack's in High on Fire and all that. But, like, just, like, the drone, like, of, like, their open C chords was enough to just, like, make your body, like, tingle and shake throughout, like, the entirety.
Damn.
It felt like a bunch of, like, 747s going off, like, the entire time. And it's, like, they ended up playing, like, at least half a Dope Smoker, and that's an hour-long album.
Nice.
So, yeah, that was good. That was a hell of an experience, I'd say. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, by all means. Well, that's what this episode's about. But no, fucking, they played Bomber, they played Damage Case, played, obviously, Ace of Spades, Overkill. They played Chase is Better Than the Catch.
Okay,
which I didn't expect to hear, and I fucking flipped my shit, because that's one of my favorite tracks from them. They played Over the Top. They played I Know How to Die off of the Born to Lose record, because that's what they're...
Okay.
World Is Yours.
Yeah,
Excuse
yeah.
me. Because that's what they were torn off of. Fuck, what the hell else they played? They played... I think they played No Class. I can't remember specifically everything they played, but it was a solid hour. I mean, you know, Lemmy was still... He was getting up there, so he was like 65, 66 when they were playing. So he didn't, like, move around too much, but it was, like, just him standing there just blasting on the Rickenbacker, and that shit was, like I said, fucking loud.
Yeah.
Mickey D did a drum solo, which was fucking tits and a half, and I'll never forget it too. It was fucking awesome. After they got done, because we were on the floor, and I just look up and I just see all these black Motorhead shirts like filing out of the stadium, and then when Megadeth came on, the stadium was half empty.
Damn.
And it was awesome. Fuck you, Dave Mustaine.
I mean, I don't hate Dave Mustaine, but he's definitely lost the luster that he used to in my formative years in the metal community, I guess.
Yeah.
I used to be, you know, like the biggest Dave Mustaine fan ever, and then I turned, 18, 19 or whatever, and he's just like totally different than how he used to be, like, you know, back in the heyday.
Because I remember he was up there like bitching about Obama and shit. We were just like looking at each other like, shut up.
Like, when did you become a Republican, Dave?
What the fuck? Like, start smoking meth again, please. But,
no, it was all that heroin. That's what wrote Rust in Peace.
Yeah, well, that it worked. But there's that. That like 2012 was like 13 was like a lot of shows. Fucking saw Tool when they went to the Huntington Center.
Oh yeah,
that was bitching.
Man, I had a hell of an experience seeing Tool. Like, it wasn't the concert was a little lackluster because we were all the way in the back, but we had a whole road trip going all the way to Minnesota just to see them.
Was that from that poster you got in the living room?
No, that was actually a separate occurrence or whatever. I think that was like a gift from a friend or something.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we ended up, going. We stopped in Chicago. There was Taste of the Nation going on there, so we stopped there.
Okay.
Checked out a couple things over in that area. Drove through Wisconsin. Stopped at a couple places over there, and then Minnesota. We got to see Mall of America and all that.
There you go.
That was cool. That was really cool.
Paisley Park.
Man. I think we did.
I hope you at least drove by it and waved hi to his royal badness.
Yeah.
That's Prince, by the way, for those of you who don't know. And if you don't know, you should be ashamed of yourself. Anyway, I'm one to talk. It took until right before he died for me to get into it. I was like, oh, this is actually really fucking good. And then he kicked off. I'm like, I'll never get to see him. Great. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, that would have been a good one. I think only near that I saw Ringo Starr, I guess, but that's not even close to the same thing.
I think for me it would have been by far been like seeing Lemmy and the band and shit. It was
really cool seeing Johnny Winter.
Nice.
They played friggin' Frankenstein, man.
Nice.
And he did all the
you see him at?
It was in Cleveland. I can't remember what the venue was, like right there on the river.
Agora?
Fucking
it's like a bar, it's like a restaurant, and then
it's not even a restaurant. It's literally right there on the river. It was where the venue was. Kind of like how the venue is set up here downtown Toledo.
Okay.
Except it was under a bridge too.
Okay, that's not where because I saw Steve Earle in Cleveland in April of this year.
Okay.
I can't. It's the Music Box.
Okay.
It's like a restaurant, and then there's like a small concert venue adjacent to the restaurant, and that's where he played.
Gotcha.
And he did Copperhead Road front to back, and then did another set, which was pretty solid. There's a lot of songs I didn't recognize.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of ones I did. Obviously, Copperhead Road, I've heard 100 times, and that was 2 days after I saw Priest.
Okay.
At the Masonic Temple in Detroit, and that was, it was a good show. It was definitely, Rob Halford still fucking has it.
Oh hell yeah.
The dude's 70 and and just rattling the fucking PA system and still hitting those high C's.
It's like I'm wondering how King Diamond's doing right now. I want to see that dude really bad, just to experience that. But it's nothing like Priest or anything either. They got that level of volume too.
Well, and it's it's definitely a box you want to check off.
Yeah.
If you're a fan.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But I remember it was funny because I don't know, the Masonic Temple. Like, 'cause I've seen two shows there. And that was the second one, and it's just really close quarters, and there's not a lot of room to like move around and like get into the show. So we're kind of like just standing there bopping our heads to the songs and shit.
Yeah.
And it was a good set. It was like a lot of interesting deep cuts. Like they played Saints in Hell off fucking Sad Wings of Destiny.
Okay.
Played Bloodstone from Screaming for Vengeance. They played Some Heads Are Gonna Roll from Defenders of the Faith. They played Eat Me Alive.
Wow. Okay.
They played Painkiller, obviously, Living After Midnight, Hellbent for Leather, which he came out on the fucking Harley, which I didn't expect.
That's pretty bad.
Center. Played Center. They played Lightning Strike, Evil Never Dies and Firepower off the new album. Fucking what else they play? Played a couple other tracks. Turbo Lover.
Yep.
But I remember they played Breaking the Law, and like 2 rows in front of us, these fucking middle-aged biker-looking dudes got in a fucking fist fight. And one dude, it started off as like a 3-on-2, then it turned into a 2-on-1. And one dude had this dude's head down, and he was like coming down with haymakers right on the side of his face, just like thumping this motherfucker. And they were just wailing on this dude, like pulled his shirt over his head, hockey style, was like beating the fuck out of him. And I remember they pulled it off this dude, and this dude was a big dude, so that's why they had to gang up on his ass. And they were just like thumping him and like fucking wailing on this dude. And they pulled him off, and he was all like shaking, he's leaking from the side of his face, like his fucking right side of his face is just swole. It's like, his shirt's all torn off and shit. And I remember the security guard grabbed him, and he fucking went to haul off on him thinking it was one of the dudes, and he saw the security dude and was like, uh-oh. And the security guy just gave him this look like, yeah, don't do that, because I'll finish it.
That is not in your best interest.
And they fucking took him off, and I remember I went with Joe, and Joe looked at me, he's like, ticket's paid for. But it was a decent show. That was I think another one, Fillmore. The last one I saw at the Fillmore, I just remembered, fucking Faith No More.
Oh, that's a good one.
They played. They sounded great. They fucking sounded tight. And if you know me, like, I'm a fucking huge fan. Like, and I'm not just a huge fan of the Mike Patton shit. I'm a huge fan of the fucking band in general.
Oh yeah.
Like anyone says that they love that band and only fucking digs on the Mike Patton shit is, fuck you. I'm sorry. Like, I saw there was one, I forget what song it was, on the YouTubes, and one of the comments was, Faith No More sucks without Mike Patton. I'm like, no, they don't. Have you heard?
No, they did just fine with Chuck Mosley.
Yeah, they did very well with Chuck Mosley. And fucking Chuck Mosley actually came on and did it.
He just recently passed, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
He did. Unfortunately, he sounded like hot garbage. He was...
not performing for such and such years or whatever, or performing just like, like on his spare time.
He was doped up on something.
Yeah.
You could tell. He was.
Yeah, no, I heard his, final years weren't exactly kind to him.
No, well, I don't... From what little I've heard, he wasn't kind to himself.
Yeah.
But that was after they had released their latest record, and they played 4 or 5 songs off that record.
Soul Invictus was okay, but
so it was all right. Like
it doesn't touch Angel Dust, in my opinion. So.
Well, they played the one song I really liked from Soul Invictus was Separation Anxiety.
Yeah, I like that one too.
They played that and it ripped. They played fucking From Out of Nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Caffeine. Played Midlife Crisis. They played fucking Surprise You're Dead.
Oh, okay. Revocation did a good cover of that song, actually, if you never heard it before.
When they fucking busted in the Surprise You're Dead, I was just like, yeah! Fuck yeah!
Yeah, that's a ripper. I like it.
And fucking, what's the fucking ballad off of King for a Day?
Man. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Oh, can you look it up? Is it possible you can look it up just real quick?
Let's see what the old. Yeah. Keep talking while I look at my phone.
They did.
It's a King for a Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fool for a Lifetime. They did Ashes to Ashes, and my favorite, Everything's Ruined. When they fucking went into Everything's Ruined, about shit my pants because I did not expect them to hear that, and that's one of my all-time favorite songs. And it was just,
There's a track list there.
Evidence.
Evidence.
It went into Evidence, and I remember they had like a little bridge point in the middle of it, and it was at the Fillmore, and it was doing like a little like boom, boom, tap, boom, 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 tap, boom, 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 tap. And then Mike Patton just starts going, Detroit basketball, Detroit basketball, and everyone started getting into it, and they busted right back into the song, and it was a good show. It really was. There's a couple, that was one of those ones where it was like, man, I wish they would have played this and this and this, but they played one of my favorite all-time fucking songs ever, and that was worth the price of admission for me.
Oh yeah, I feel the same way. Like seeing like somebody like Devin Townsend. Like if you've never seen him live before, do yourself a favor to see him live. He is terrific at showmanship and all that.
I've heard the same thing. My dude Derek recently went and saw Joe Satriani.
Okay, yeah, I like me some Sash.
And that's another one where, like, if you're into that stuff, he said Satriani puts on a hell of a show.
What is it? They're gonna have that Generation X. It's gonna be like Steve Vai, Zach Wilde, Ingve Malmsteen, and a bunch of other dudes.
Betancourt.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Nuno. Yeah.
My dude Chris, one of my other friends, Chris, he went and saw them, and I think it was either at Fillmore or Auburn Palace, and he said it was, once again, if you're into like that shredding style of guitar, like that very high flying virtuoso style of guitar playing, he was like, he came back, he was like, it was fucking amazing, fucking Zach.
Oh yeah.
And
I feel like Satch and Steve Vai are probably like the dudes in that category to go see if you're like into that sort of thing. You want something like tasteful, I guess.
Satriani, like I used to be into like that stuff. Like I went through a phase. I hate saying that though.
I was right there with you.
Well, I hate saying that in general. I was like, well, I went through this phase where I was like, I like this, I don't really like it, but there was a hot minute where I was like all about the Zach Wilde and the Steve Vai and Satriani and shit. Satriani's really one of the only types of guitar players like that I'll go out of my way to listen to.
I got a couple here and there that like aren't on like that short list. Like Guthrie Govan's like one of my favorite players. Ron Thal, he goes by Bumblefoot. He used to play with Guns N' Roses.
Yeah. Bumblefoot's,
Oh yeah, Bumblefoot's the shit, man. I love that dude.
Yeah, Derek was like, he was saying he was like on Molly and shit, and he was just like rolling the whole time, and he was like, dude, it was fucking amazing. I think with Satriani, I like it because it's not just about like playing a million notes in a minute. He's got some soul into his playing and whatnot, and Steve Vai, it's a lot of hit and miss with me because he has that showmanship to it, but it's
I feel like listening to his music isn't as good as actually going out and seeing him because there's like all the things that he does.
Yeah,
like I feel like it'd be like better to see him. Like I don't know if he ever did Zappa Plays Zappa, but that's where I'd like to see him play.
He did.
Honestly,
I saw. I don't know how recent it was. It was a video. He was touring off of Fire Garden.
Okay.
And he was playing that front to back, which was like the one album I remember my dad bought from Gromy CDs, which was like the CD shop back home that we'd always go to. Like, oh, do you have this? Do you have this? And like the motherfucker had everything. Like he was like, just, you ever been to Amoeba Records?
I have not.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've heard of Amoeba Record. Oh yeah, I saw, what was it? Man, Sebastian Bach.
Yeah.
I saw him do like a segment. He was like looking for like old Kiss records and stuff at Amoeba Records.
It's in. Yeah. Have you seen the Lemmy documentary?
I haven't. No.
He goes into an Amoeba in L.A.
Gotcha.
I think that's the one I went to when I was out there. But those people are like, they know their shit. Joe was telling me he's been to the one in San Francisco, which is like the one.
Yeah, that's the one that Sebastian Bach went to.
He's like, those motherfuckers are on their game.
Yeah.
They're like walking encyclopedias. But this dude, Gromy, he was like, just picture a one-man amoeba. and he had this warehouse type shop. Like it was,
Yeah.
dude, it was filled with every sort of LPs, EPs, cassette tapes, CDs, fucking DVDs. He sold porn. He sold T-shirts, like demos, bootlegs of demos, bootlegs of concerts, bootlegs of bootlegs, bootlegs of fucking every fucking thing. You know, he sold everything, and we'd go there a lot and get our shit. And then half the CDs I still have, I got from there.
Hell yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, Fire Garden's one of those ones that we picked up, and I remember I was really into it for a minute, and I was really into that style, and then I just kind of was like, I just kind of moved on. I mean, they're what's the term? Wizards, guitar wizards, or some shit.
Or virtuoso, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, I mean,
shredder.
Well, there's like a specific term for like with guys like Steve Vai and Satriani, especially, where they know, and especially with like fucking Eddie Van Halen, where it's like they know everything about guitars and how not only how to play it, but I mean, Eddie Van Halen builds his own guitars. Like the Frankenstein guitar, he built that out of parts of other guitars and fashioned his own. He took, I forget what strings he used, but he fashioned them down to where you could fucking do the finger picking and shit, and like everything about how to play it, how it's built, how it sounds. You do this with the fucking this, that, and the other, and every fucking thing you can imagine about.
What is it? The pickup on that guitar, it shouldn't even physically be able to work, but it does somehow.
Yeah.
Like I read like an article on it, like he was like wax spotting or whatever, and he kept it in there too long for whatever reason. Keeping it in there too long is how it got that sound.
Yeah.
But like the brown sound is like it doesn't even like read like the resistance on it if you put it on like a meter. But if you plug it in, for some reason it works. It's some figment of magic or something.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it.
Well, it's kind of like with Danny Carey and his drum set, the drummer for Tool, where I doubt that he hand builds everything. Like I'm sure he has people do it for him.
Yeah, there's like a lamination process and
Yeah.
stuff that you have to go
But
through.
the ins and outs of like the material that's used, and he's I don't know if he's still into it, like the esoteric symbolism and how his drum set up is supposed to have this weird fucking vibe to it, and like especially to go with the music and all that other shit. I could care less. It's fun because
I think some people
rips.
interpret that differently. Like I know Devin Townsend just interprets that as like OCD or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, yeah. But there's that. But so yeah, it was pretty cool seeing Danny Carey play when they came to town. That was another one where it was like when it came over the radio. I was working at that gas station still, where I was talking about previously from when we were doing the movie.
Yeah.
It was actually when we were right in the middle of fucking revamping the fucking movie. And same dude, my dude Adam, he big Tool fan from back in the day. Had seen him a few times, you know. It was in the middle of a day. It was like a Tuesday in, I want to say November. November-ish, and November of 2011, and it came over the radio. We had the radio going. It came over. It was like, first time in Toledo in X amount of years. Tool's gonna be at the Huntington Center, and I'm just like, what? And we just like looked at each other. I ran to the back, fucking called Joe because he's a big fan. His friend Matt's a fucking diehard fan. Like Tool is like one of the probably Tool and Pussifer are like the only bands I've ever heard him listen to. Like fucking has seen Tool like 8 times. Like throughout the 90s and shit, and like we go to shows tripping balls, and like it was full on into him. I call him up and I'm like, dude, is it true? He's like, what? He's like, Tool's gonna be in town in January. He's like, let me check. 2 minutes later, he's like, yes. How many tickets? And I'm like, and then because I remember they went on sale in December, I believe. No, November or December of 2011, because I remember this. It's going to be a weird digression, but it's going to bring it back around, I think. I stayed the night, once again, at his studio. I was so amped that I couldn't sleep because I wanted to get up and be the first person in line and get the fucking tickets, you know. I get up there, and the ticket station opened at, like, 11, I think. And the building that his studio, now my place, is in is right across the street from the Huntington Center. And at the time, there's this place called the Madison Bistro that was open. Like, it would open early, but it would serve, like, lunch, like, all day.
Gotcha.
And so I'm like, and they had the best bacon fucking cheeseburger.
Yeah, well, you
in
mentioned
town.
that in a previous episode. I believe.
Yeah, I can't fucking. I still wish this place was still open. So I went there, and I'm like, I'm gonna have like hangover food and shit. And I remember I look up at the TV, and they announced that Christopher Hitchens, the author, had died.
Oh, okay.
And I was a big fan of him at the time, and I'm like, well, this is odd to start the day. Like, I'm wicked excited. Like,
yeah.
and I find this out, I'm like, well, that blows. And so I'm like blowing people's phones up trying to get tickets for this shit. And at the same time, people that I knew who also liked him, had like Christopher Hitchens, was like hitting me up like, dude, you hear about this? That sucks, man.
Getting back and forth on both those
and I'm
topics.
like,
It's
oh shit. I'm like, just focus on the tickets, man.
Yep.
But I got in line, and I ended up getting second row seats. And it was like directly, like straight ahead was Danny Carey's drum set. And,
Oh, I got a similar story to that. I'm gonna let you finish it up.
no, that was about it. But they fucking. Oh, actually, real quick, it was pretty funny. In the run up to the show, Joe had like a mix that he was playing of their songs. Like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if they played this and it'd be like 46 and 2 or you know, whatever. You know, this song, that song, whatever. And I'm like, oh, great. You know, it'd be like, it was like his concert prep mix.
Yeah.
And like, oh, it'd be fucking tight. We're jamming it like for like a month or two, like up until the show. And it'd be fucking tight if they played this song, or it'd be tight if they played this song. And then we get to the show, and they fucking jammed it out. They rocked it, man. And the place was packed. I was all into it. I was like, oh, all ecstatic and shit. We get back to the fucking the studio, and we were hanging out with the one across the hallway. And he comes walking up with a shit-eating grin on his face, and I'm like all ecstatic and shit. He looks at me, he's like, "It was a great set list, wasn't it?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You've been hearing it for the last 2 months," because like the whole time I'm like, because he's one of those cats that like he always
He'll look up the set list and like
look,
make a playlist or whatever,
or he'll look at the set list before he buys his ticket to see what he's in for.
Yep. Yeah, I do that every once in a while.
Me, on the other hand, I'm more like,
I like to be surprised personally.
Yeah.
When I can be, I like to be surprised.
Yeah, like be in the moment kind of thing.
Yeah.
Me, on the other hand, I didn't do that, and so like this whole playlist that we had been jamming out to for like 2 months, ended up being the set list. And I just didn't put two and two together. And he looked at me. He's like, "Yeah, you've been listening to the fucking set list the whole fucking last 2 months." I'm like, "You son of a bitch!" I'm like, "Fuck you, dude." He's like, "Yeah."
That's funny.
But yeah, no, they fucking rocked it.
Yeah. I had similar experience, like not exactly like the comeuppance to the show or whatever, but like we did a last minute thing. We went and saw Music Palace at Auburn Hills.
I think didn't Chris Parker said our friend Chris said that he went to that?
No, he didn't go to that one. Because I didn't meet Chris until at least a year or two after that.
Was that the one where they're on hoverboards and shit?
They had their like own like totem, basically. It was like a rising platform that they were each standing on.
Okay.
And had this wicked ass fucking light show or whatever. And I got tickets last minute. Actually, it was like me, one of my buddies, and a girl I was seeing at the time. And we got like what is it, like within the first 2 rows, like on the side stage or whatever. But like Matt Bellamy was like maybe like 20 feet away from me, and like I was like shooting these lasers out from like this pointer or whatever. It's like fucking blowing my mind. And then the drummer and bass player had like a part during the middle of the set where they just did like like a jam. Like the bass player got on like the drum platform and it like spinning around, rising,
nice.
Whatever, lasers going everywhere.
Fucking Tommy Lee shit.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet. And they played good songs off like up to that point. They had like Black Holes and Revelations was their latest one, or was it Uprising? I can't remember the album. I'd expect you to know because I can barely remember.
Yeah,
but
they're one of those bands I tried fucking with for a little bit. It's just not my thing.
Yeah,
but I can see why people really dig them.
Oh yeah, I
feel
like
I don't mind.
Like nowadays, it's like I'll find like a couple tracks that I can jive with, like per album. Like their earlier stuff, I get along with a lot better. Like the first 3 albums is where it's at, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But like they still release some high quality stuff. Like they're all talented dudes.
They are. I mean,
it's definitely a good show. If you have the chance to go see them, I would do it.
My friend Derek, saw. He's a big Muse fan. Has loved them ever
yeah.
since they came out. And when he saw them, they had. I said hoverboards. Why the fuck I said hoverboards?
I know. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. They have the wheelie boards or
Yeah,
whatever. Like, yeah, I saw like Matt was like, riding around one like playing like a guitar solo or something.
They were like, dude, they had that. They had the light show, and they had like aerial drones.
Yeah.
Floating around the stadium.
Okay, that must have been within like the last year or so.
It was,
like,
something like that.
The one I went and saw, it was like 2011, I think, 2010, 2011.
Okay.
That's when I saw him.
Yeah, that was way before I met you.
Yeah.
What the fuck was I gonna say? Oh, that for some reason that reminded me of we were talking about guitar players earlier.
Yeah.
The coolest, I'll still say this. The coolest one was when I saw the Cult, and Bill Duffy was up there, and just the way he played, he's like stood in one spot, just kind of like rocking back and forth. But that dude for me is like a fucking all-time riff meister. Like just like one riff and hook after the other, and he was just up there just jamming, just like had his fucking 50s style hollow body Gretsch that's like half his size, and he's just up there just like. Because they did, it was the 25th anniversary of Electric.
Okay.
And they did that front to back, and then they came out and did another 45-minute set. And it was kind of cool, because have you ever heard that album, Electric?
I don't think I have.
It's the one that they did with Rick Rubin.
Gotcha,
where they stripped it down. It's kind of like got like an AC/DC sound to it.
Okay.
It's the song Love Removal Machine.
Not familiar.
It's one of those ones, if you looked it up, I'm sure you've heard it.
Okay. I have to go back since I'm not really familiar with it. Like this is the first time hearing of a band called The Cult. Mm-hmm. So I'm probably just not hip on like what I have heard. I might have like heard on the radio or something like that.
You've probably heard Firewoman.
Okay.
She Sells Sanctuary, like the. I'm sure if you looked it up.
I'll have to revisit this in the near future.
But their album Electric was like their first like stripped down rock and roll record.
Yeah.
Because their earlier kind of stuff is more like new wave-ish, like post-punk gothic kind of vibe to it.
Okay, kind of like not quite like Wednesday 13 or say like John 5. Like how John 5 will do like like the weird metal with like country thrown in there.
Yeah, kind of. It's I don't know, but it's more like English like. How do I put it? It's like not pop punk or I guess new wave would be if you want to blend it into a fucking overall genre.
Yeah.
It would qualify, but it had like it's like if the Doors were an English band in the late 70s, early 80s.
Gotcha.
With that wave of music coming out of England. Anyway, Electric was like their like big cock rock or like stripped down rock and roll record. Real simple chords, real simple drum licks and shit. And then Sonic Temple was like their big cock rock anthem record.
Okay.
The one that has Edie Chow Baby. It's got Sun King, Firewoman's on it.
Gotcha. I feel like they're a band like I listen to like a lot of Clutch, and they kind of like they're giving me a lot of like parallels like from you're just like spewing off like song titles and stuff like that. Like it's kind of like a similar vibe almost.
It's there's a lot of like Native American imagery in the lyrics and whatnot, and Ian Astbury was like really big into like Jim Morrison and a lot of the early punk and shit. But I'm sure if you'd hear correlations between other bands if you give it a chance.
Oh yeah.
I had a huge hard-on for them for a long time, and they were torn off of Electric, and it was kind of cool because the songs are like a mid to upbeat tempo, and the way that they played it live, they dropped it down a half step and put more of like a kind of like just a dirtier sound to it.
Gotcha.
And it was like Bill Duffy was just up there just riffing, and he was just looked so fucking cool. And there was that, but that was as far as like a singular like person singing live, playing their instrument. He just looked fucking just cool.
Yeah.
But have you ever seen a Tour Meltdown in person?
Oh man. No, I don't think I have. Honestly, I can't recall off the top of my head. I don't recall anybody like having like like breakdowns or whatever, like catastrophic. Like I experienced one technically, like one of my old bands or whatever. Guitar player broke a string and didn't have a replacement, so we had to end the set right there. So
That actually happened to my brother once.
Yeah.
One of the bands he was in high school, they were playing in the park in this pavilion, and his amp was fucking up, then his strings broke, and he just had to walk off.
Yeah.
This is still funny. The first time Marilyn Manson and Rob Zombie went on tour for the Twins of Evil tour,
Okay.
they were playing at DTE, and it was like a couple weeks before Halloween. And Manson went up first, and I guess they were having troubles all throughout the tour with like fighting over headlining
Like they
spots.
split like personnel like over the years.
Yeah, because like John
Like,
Five
yeah.
was playing with
Zombie at the
Yeah.
point, yeah.
and all this other shit, and it came to a head that night.
Oh shit.
And Manson went up there, and I don't know what he was up to, but it was like bloated, fat shock rock Elvis. Like he was fucked up on something.
Yeah.
And slurring his words. Like I'm not like a huge Manson fan, but like even the songs I recognized, they were barely legible. Like
Honestly, I liked him better in Sons of Anarchy than I do like his albums. So, your mileage may vary there. Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of how I feel about it.
But he was up there and he's like, and just fucking all a mess, an absolute mess. And like halfway through his set, he was just like started talking about kicking someone's ass off stage. We'll get done with this show. I'm gonna go out backstage and whoop someone's ass. He goes, some motherfuckers don't know how to show respect and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, we were just like looking at each other. It was once again
Like,
me
what?
and Joe and his buddy Matt. We were just like, what the fuck's going on? Like, this might even be a better show than we expected. He's like talking shit for like the rest of his set, and the band sounded on point, but he was just like just blasted. And Zombie comes on stage, and he's fucking just like running across the stage. He's jumping over the fucking PA system. He's getting the crowd into it. We're just like, oh shit, man, he's still bringing it. And about like 2-3 songs in, he's like, hey Detroit, I got a question for you. Does it look like someone's ass has been kicked tonight? Does it fucking look like it? And then he went off on this whole tirade. He's like, we've toured with every fucking band around. Megadeth, Metallica, Motorhead, Testament, Exodus, Slayer, blah, blah, blah. Every fucking band you can imagine. But sometimes it just doesn't work out. So I hope you enjoyed the last night on this fucking tour. And we're just like, oh shit, tour meltdown. And you can even look it up on YouTube. He was just like, and about halfway, he's fucking talking mad shit. He's like, I don't give a fuck what he's like. You want to talk about respect? Fucking show some goddamn blah blah blah. And I remember it was like towards the end of the set, he's like, last but not least, I want to dedicate this fucking song to the only shock rocker that there ever was, Alice fucking Cooper. And they fucking busted into schools out. And then he went through like the first verse of it, and then just started talking shit about Manson like the rest of the way. He's like, fuck you, you fucking poser. He's like, fuck you, Brian. And we're just like, oh shit. He's like, fuck this motherfucker. And blah, blah,
You know what that reminds me of? Like, what is it? The singer from Red Hot Chili Peppers and Mike Patton getting into it over Mr. Bungle or whatever.
And then fucking Mr. Bungle came up
and
the
then
next
they did
night dressed as the Chili Peppers and doing shitty covers.
I would have loved to be there, honestly. Like, I don't hate the Chili Peppers or anything, but I think, what's the guy's name?
Anthony Kiedis.
Yeah, Anthony Kiedis or whatever. Like, I just don't like his attitude in general. Like, I think he's an okay singer or whatever, but, like, I feel like the rest of the band's, like, on another level.
Yeah. The one I would have liked to have seen, once again, Mike Patton, was when, I'm sure you've heard about the infamous Guns N' Roses Metallica tour.
Yeah.
Fucking Faith No More was the opening act at one point.
Okay. Was that when Buckethead was with Guns N' Roses?
No, this is back in the early 90s.
Okay.
Off the Black Album and User Illusion and fucking
Gotcha.
Angel Dust and shit.
Oh, yeah, okay, I remember now.
Because that was when, like, the whole, the infamous show, I think it was in Montreal, where James Hetfield got blown up, and then Axl Rose came out and quit halfway through, and they fucking tore the stadium apart.
Mm-hmm.
I go off on these nerd tangents, all like, cause just shit like that, like what really happened in the tour. The fucking
that's interesting though. Like,
well, I guess like fucking dudes in Faith No More were really tight with dudes in Metallica because fucking Jim Martin and Cliff Burton were like best friends and like had bands and shit growing up. Obviously this is after Cliff Burton died, there was a story where Mike Patton hated fucking Axl Rose so much that he tried every show, if Guns N' Roses was following him, to take a giant shit on the monitor so Axl Rose couldn't read his lyrics. And they like purposely tried to fuck up the sound system.
Damn.
Like, apparently, I don't know. I heard one. It was like a rumor that
I could see him
tried to,
like being that spiteful, honestly.
well, they tried to like sabotage the soundboard and shit, and like just try to fuck everything up for him because they fucking hated him so much, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was so fucking funny seeing like that tour just melt down in person. It was just so hilarious. Like Zombie was just going off. It was hilarious. But there was you were talking about like loud concerts.
Yeah.
There was one, I remember this. This was my brother back when I was in middle school and high school, like growing up and shit. He would be in bands all the time, like obviously just always playing in metal bands and death metal at the time. Like at the time, we were listening to a lot of Lamb of God, a lot of DSIs, a lot of fucking Tool at one point. Like a lot of the fucking heavy shit. And he was in a death metal band called Atrocious, and they were actually like pretty ripping. And they would play. No, actually, this was after that band. I think he was in a band called Helen Keller at one point. I think this was like during that time. Well, in Wapakoneta, which if you don't know where Wapakoneta is, it's in Ohio. It's in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, in between Lima and wherever else. And Lima's where I grew up. And they'd have shows at this place called the Molten Gun Club.
Huh.
Oh yeah, it's exactly what you would imagine. Just like a big fucking hollowed out gun club where they had like the mounds and shit still set up, and they would just go there, and there'd be like a dozen or so bands, all day thing. We'd get there like fucking 1 or 2 in the afternoon, leave at like 2, 3 in the morning, go back to the house and party, or leave at like midnight, or whatever. It was just like, it would be these all day events, and like bands would have merchandise set up, and it was all in this like this one just big room, big like hall, kind of like not a ballroom size, but like just one big room, and then they had like a kitchen area and shit. And the people would be fucking partying and shit, and obviously he wouldn't let me party until we get back to the house because he didn't want me, have to take care of me during the show and shit. There was one band, actually 2 bands that I'll always remember. What was it? Oh yeah, 2 bands. 3 bands. I can't remember the fucking name of the other one. 2 bands I'll always remember. One always played there. Name, it's called Brody's Militia. They're like pretty well known on the kind of the underground circuit.
Okay.
Like they played CBGBs back in the day. They've had like 8 million lineup changes. Like, but they're like one of the most intense bands I've ever seen live. And the great thing was at this excuse me, at this venue there wasn't a stage. It was just like a ground show. And so like, you'd be like right fucking in front, as close as to the singer as I am to this microphone, like breathing on it. I remember just like these old like dudes that were like in their 40s and 50s. The one guy, he played traditional style, but it was like fast beat drumming, like But he would play traditional like jazz style.
Okay.
The way he held his sticks, but he was just like fucking blasting. Guitar players, like long hair, beards, tattoos, beer gut, exactly what you'd imagine. Just riffing. But they had this dude, the singer. I never knew the guy's real name. I think his name was like Jim or something. They called him the Gooch. That was his nickname.
The Gooch.
The Gooch. He was like 5'0", wore fucking. I might have mentioned this in a past episode, but I don't care. I'm on a roll now, damn it. 5'0", had a fucking Motorhead back patch tattoo all across his whole back. Camouflage pants. He wore fucking army boots, long curly hair, long ass beard, goatee.
Checking off a list right there.
Yeah. And he had a fucking permanent scar in the middle of his forehead where, before they would begin the set, he'd fucking break a beer bottle over the nightstand and fucking start jabbing himself in the forehead and cover himself in blood, beer and shit, like all G.G. Allen shit.
Ouch.
And fucking just like going at it in the microphone, like grabbing people and screaming in their face during the song, and just going nuts. And they always put on a great show. Always put on a great fucking show. But there was another band, I think they were called Question. I think that was the name of the band. I could be wrong. I don't even fucking remember any of the songs. All I just remember is that they had everything turned up to 11, 12, 13 to a million. And this is not, like I say, this is not a large venue. And I just remember being in the middle of it trying to record this with like my little DV camera because my brother wanted to record some shit for like a video demo for like these shows and shit. Like, you know, try to get the band out there and bands out there and shit. And all I remember, like, from hearing it, seeing it, and from recording it, and this is all it sounded like. Like, guitars tuned all the way up, and just, they're fucking, and the drums, and this, and you just can't, and you just hear the singer like.
Sounds like something like Dillinger Escape Plan would do.
No offense, it was way sweeter. But it was just like, and I'm like, oh, like I'll never forget it. Like the fucking bass drum was like beating my shirt like that. I'm just like, oh, like it was just a wall of sound for like they played for like 20 minutes, and I'm like after that I had to go outside. I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like
I feel I need to smoke after that.
It was fucking, dude. It was literally like I swear it could have been. It had to have been way over 100 decibels in a room that was the size of like a fucking like a cafeteria. If like a church cafeteria. It was fucking just immense. It was fucking retarded. It was nuts. Yeah, like but a lot of those shows were like that. It was just like be there all fucking day, and it was great. Be like there'd be people like fucking just, and this was like when I was in my raging days. I had like hair down to my fucking shoulder and had, you know, I had a lion's mane. I was like 50 pounds heavier because I lifted weights and played football and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like having a sober good time. Like everyone would be standing around like jamming out to the band. I'd be over in a 3-point stance just like ah, and just fucking like covered in sweat by the whole end of it. But actually one of my proudest concert going moments was at one of these shows, and once again, it was an all-day fucking thing. I'm fucking raging out to every fucking band, just going nuts. Absolutely just going crazy. And I remember I was sitting off to the side with my brother. I'm like, he's giving me water because I'm just all like, whew, like fucking just spent. But I'm like trying to prep for like the rest of the bands because I wanted to fucking go nuts. I remember, I forget what band, I think Blackbird, I think was the name of the band or some shit. And they get up there and they're like, we're not fucking playing until that crazy motherfucker comes up here and starts raging again. And they're like, what? They're like, yeah, where's that crazy ass dude that's fucking been up here the whole fucking time? We're not fucking playing until he gets his ass up here. And they all just look at me. My nickname back in the day was Neckbeard.
Uh-huh.
Because I would never shave. I would just let the shit just like grow out. And it got to a point where my brother like fucking cut chops, mutton chops, that I just like Wolverine style, just like... and I was just had like all neck, beard, and face. It was just all just one big mat of hair. And they're like, fucking neck, beard, where the fuck are you? And they just looked at me. My brother just looked at me. He's like, dude, they're calling for you. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, dude, they're calling for you. I'm like, all right, let's fucking do it. I get up there. I'm all sweaty. Everything's fucking drenched in sweat. I'm just like, ugh. And the band just looks at me like, yeah, all right, count it up. And fucking just went nuts. I'm like, all right, here we go. And like a bunch of dudes like started grabbing onto me. I'm like, ah, fucking going insane. And then we fucking went back to the house and partied and fucking just got nutty. But yeah, those shows were like the best shows I've ever been to, just because it was like everyone was just like, you know, having a good time. You know, there wasn't any like big names or any egos or anything like that. It was just like rage out for fucking 12 hours and go back and get drunk and fucking have your ears blasted the next morning. You can't hear shit.
Yep.
And I'm sure that's where a lot of my tinnitus comes from, because like it would literally be like the size of this room.
What?
Be like PA on one end, PA on the other end. You're right in the middle, and everything's cranked up to fucking 12.
Yeah. I'm just glad that a lot of people who like mix down at like venues and stuff don't turn the treble up anymore. That's what killed my ears.
Yeah.
Like, in retrospect, though, they are turning up the bass, I feel, a lot more, which isn't exactly a solution, in my opinion. If you want a more balanced sound, you want some more mid-range, but
yeah,
that's a topic for another day.
Yeah, it is what it is, but I think let's take another piss break real quick and get a refill and knock out the rest of this sumbitch. What do you say?
Sounds good to me.
All right, folks, we'll be right back.
Back right.
Left. Cut. How's your pee-pee, Nate?
It was a regular pee. No irregularities.
Pee-pee good
No
time.
blood.
Good pee-pee time. No, you were talking about sound in venues.
Yeah.
I just fucking remember this, dude. One of the because I said with the movie, I'm like turning it back around to the first part of this where we're talking about shopping around the movie and the whole making of it and all that shit. But this is after we had it done and we're shopping around venues and whatnot. One of the venues that I went on a recon mission to was that I was dead set on wanting to fucking premiere this movie at the Westwood Theater, the fucking porno theater.
That honestly, like, I mean, hey, if it worked, it worked.
I went up to Joe and I was just like, dude, how funny would that be?
That would have been effing hilarious.
And I mean, because they have the fucking sex shop that's adjacent to the movie theater that you would have to go, that people would have to walk through on the way to the theater.
Yeah.
I emailed them. I emailed the people ahead of it because there's like 5 people who work for it, and the guy who owns it is obviously named Abe. And I wish I was making this part up. His name's fucking Abe. I called them at least a half dozen times. Like, hey, can I speak to Abe? Like, this is a serious business venture. He could make some money off of this. We'll pay out of pocket to secure the spot and the amount of tickets that that we would probably need to have, and et cetera, et cetera. They never fucking called back, never fucking emailed back. So I went in with a friend. And we went in as a goof. We got fucking ripped. And went in and to watch one of the features. It was Dirty Masseuse 3. I remember this because Johnny Sins was in the opening massaging a lady, and then he ended up penetrating her, as you would expect.
Oh my!
It was very risque, very unexpected that his penis would go inside her holes. But we went in and we had to sign a form, like saying like you're old enough and whatnot, and it was $10 a head. No pun all the way intended.
So 20 altogether for each of you.
Yes, 20 for the both of us, as is the regular street fee. And of course they had I think they had a used toy section. I swear, I don't know. But
I'm not even going to comment on that one.
It was actually very well kept. They had like a nice little VIP lounge area where they had fucking leather love seats. It was clean. It was actually a really clean theater.
I'd hope so.
But I remember before we went in, I asked the 2 guys who they looked like they weren't scummy looking, but they looked like if they lived long enough and worked in this profession long enough that they would eventually become scumbags. But they were just doing this because it was easy money.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked them, I was like, so what would be the possibility of possibly like showing a actual movie here? And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's not a porno. We made it as an actual film. What's the possibility of talking to someone like management or whatever to see if we can premiere our film here? And if it's possible, and one of the reasons that I came here, pun intended, is to check out your sound system. And they were just like looking at each other, like had this whole thing like they're fucking with us, right? And I'm not fucking with you. I told him because there's a security guy, and he was like starting to crack up. He was just like trying to hold it together, and the 2 guys are like looking at each other, all fucking befuddled and shit. And I'm like, I'm actually serious. Like, me and a colleague, we made a film. We worked very hard on it. We would like to premiere it possibly at this venue. And I told him, I was like, we would provide, security for the parking. We would pay out of pocket to secure the spot. Any tickets that would need be, we would cover it, etc., etc. We came at him like fucking official. The only thing that was missing was a fucking suit and tie. If I had a goddamn suit and tie, I would have fucking maybe sold this shit. And they're just like looking at each other. And they're like, well, we can talk to Abe. He's the one. He owns the venue, the building, and whatnot. We can try to get a hold of him. I was like, do you have his contact information? They gave me the fucking number, and I went in, and they started the movie. Johnny Sins is lathering up this curvaceous, I think she was a brunette, and they started getting down to business, and I'm like sitting around the theater, like testing, like, all right, the sound. I'm like making mental notes too. Like, all right, the sound sounds like this over here, and I was my friend. I was like, and they were in on it too. They just went as a goof. And I'm like, all right, can you go tell them to turn it down a little bit, like just a couple notches? And they went and they fucking obliged. I sent them back like 5-6 times. Oh, can you? All right, I'm in the middle. Can you tell them to turn it up just a little bit more so I can gauge it from the back? And then I fucking started sitting around, and it was a clean ass
Man, they
theater.
must have been like, I don't know what was going through their heads at the time, but they were like, okay, well, like,
but like, and they at one point my friend just came over and was like, you should see the look on their face. I'm like, what is it? They're like, they don't know what the hell's going on. And fucking, we got done. We probably sat through like 15-20 minutes of it until I was like, okay, I got a good idea of this place. Walked back into the fucking shop, and the two dudes are just sitting there like halfway red in the face, like they're embarrassed. I'm like, I'm the one doing this shit. Like, and I have no shame about it. And they're just like, the one guy was just sitting there with like his arms crossed, sitting on the stool. Was like, oh, did you find everything sufficient? I'm like, oh yeah, I think this might be perfect. I think this might be a perfect venue for our film. They're like, you guys have a really good sound system. It actually sounded really clear. Like the levels were pretty even throughout, and blah blah blah. And they're just like, okay, well, hopefully you get a hold of Abe, and good luck. And like, we walked out, and they're like, we're walking out, and I turned back one more time to say goodbye and wave at him. The one guy's like sitting there shaking his head. The security guard off to the side is fucking dying. He's just he's got his back to it. He's like, wah! Like fucking just chuckle fucking the whole way. And we got in the car on the way back, and my friend's driving, and just like, dude, what the fuck, man? I'm like, yeah, if not, that's a fucking great time. And just like,
that's a good story at the very least.
And I just looked down, what the fuck you mad about? I paid the bill. I covered your $10. Like, where's my $7.50? Nah. So yeah, it didn't happen, unfortunately, because Abe, like, it was the same person in the office. I didn't even know they had an office for this fucking place. That I would call and email, and it would be like in the middle of the day, and I was like, so is Abe available? And every time, no, he's in a meeting right now. Can you call back? I'm like, oh, okay, I can call back. Can you just tell him it's blah 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 with the film wanting to premiere, and they knew. He never called back. I tried like at least 6 times to call him, and they never called back. And I was just like, fuck, that'd be so funny. That'd be so funny. Have like 150, 200 people have to walk through the sex shop, pay to get the ticket, then walk into the theater.
As funny as that would be, that might actually drive some people away.
Well,
but I don't know. Well, depends on your audience, I guess.
A lot of our audience are a bunch of fucking dirtbags, anyways.
Fair enough.
No offense.
Yeah.
I say that kiddingly. Shut up. Don't take anything.
We know
seriously.
we love you.
Yeah, but we were happy with the way it turned out. We were happy with the turnout. We raised. It was pretty cool because we ended up raising all of the proceeds, and this was all Joe's idea. He didn't take any profit off this. All the money that we made from the ticket sales and shit all went to an organization. It was for what's the name of the organization? It's a local organization for LGBTQ teenagers.
Okay.
Like runaways and shit, and people and teenagers and kids and whatnot. They're like wicked confused about realizing their sexuality, and the parents had kicked them out or they ran away or some shit. It was basically like a fucking halfway house for gay kids that were fucking didn't know what the fuck was going on in their lives.
Oh yeah.
We ended up, the movie ended up taking in, like, with ticket sales, it was over $1,000.
That's decent.
And my friend who was doing the ticket taking, Joe said they came up to him. She came up to him after the movie with an envelope and was like kind of shaking. Like, I'm fucking amazed by like what we were able to pull in for it. And he counted, it was over fucking $1,000. It was like 1,100 and change. And it was all went to this organization, because one of the things he wanted to do was kind of like thumb his nose at the Arts Commission in a way, because he's had beef with them in the past and this, that, and the other, and he wanted to keep it. Well, I wouldn't say like thumb his nose at it, but
I know what you're talking about. Though.
He wanted to prove that he could do something entirely local and keep everything local. You know, all the music was from local acts and shit. Because at one point we wanted to do a couple tracks, like cheesy type tracks that like one was fucking High Enough from the Damn Yankees, another one was Fly to the Angels from Slaughter.
Okay.
We wanted to keep them for the end of the film because as a goof we thought they would work at the end of the film. And Nate, if you ever see it, I think you'll understand why.
Yeah, I'll check it out. Yeah.
So like, but we ended up. He was like, no. Let's just keep it all 419, you know, kind of shit, and all local. We like fucking
Respectable.
Let's do it, yeah, and make it respectable. And,
Yeah.
And also, like, he didn't want to take any profit off of it. He decided to fucking donate all to charity. So, no, that was that. And once again, it was a great fucking time.
I'm glad it all ended up working out in the end there.
Yeah, and you know, we're working on the next project. We're making our way, and it's a slow process. It always is. But other than that, yeah, been a good fucking time, and it's been a great fucking time getting through this goddamn episode because it's one of the first times we've been able to just riff.
We got through like an hour and a half in the last 3, and like usually
roughly,
yeah, like more than that, I think, actually at this point. Finished up like
close to 2 hours, and
I get about almost 2 hours,
so I can't complain. But I guess to end off, happy holidays, everyone. Hope you have a good turkey day. We will be back after the holiday. Can't say when, but we will be back. Nate, any turkey day advice? You know, don't sleep on the game, blah, 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 anything like that? I know you don't watch football.
Make sure you brine your turkey. You'll thank me later.
Brine the shit out of it.
Especially if you're frying.
Yeah.
Make sure you dry it appropriately.
Dry it, fry it.
Dry before you fry. Pro tip.
All right, folks, and we're going to leave you off with a track called Crimson and Clover from Kreep Daddi, who was one half of the group Powder Click, along with Nasty Push. Take it away.
Got these hollow tips for all the pigs that like to follow tips. Got these hollow tips for all these pigs that like to follow tips. Got these hollow tips for all these pigs that like to follow tips. They trying to catch my homies riding dirty, they ain't shit. Yeah, got these hollow tips for all these pigs that like to follow tips. Got these hollow tips for all these pigs that like to follow tips. Got these hollow tips for all these pigs that like to follow tips. Got these hollow tips, yeah, got these hollow tips, yeah. Beef and say you vegan, hope you know it's market season. Pentagram, words up on my head. Welcome to the Legion, Mac 11, mac and cheese, wet you up. Got your noodles salt, braids up on the concrete batter, looking like that scary salt. Jack your fucking steez, raise your tune like I'm lower crop. Backpack full of firepower, fuck a host of safety off. Muscles bitches be thinking they hard as fuck. Not the case, the opposite, they soft as fuck. Never really gave a fuck. Yeah, need it back in my lazy boy. Get ready for the shit to get a lady boy. I'm fucking drunk in public, boy. I'm pissing in your corner, boy. Never gonna participation trophy, bitch. I'm about that misanthropy in your head like coochie copy. Hit it from the back of that coochie cozy. If you hate me, end yourself. Skip the trophy, free yourself. Take that rope right off the show. Kill yourself, kill yourself. The one thing that we have in common, that we both hanging from a thread. Set them losing my sanity, and you're just fucking dead. Got these hollow tips for all these pigs that like to follow tips. Got these hollow tips for all these pigs that like to follow tips. Got these hollow tips for all these pigs that like to follow tips. They trying to catch my homies riding dirty, they ain't shit. Yeah, got these hollow tips for all these pigs that like to follow tips. Got these hollow tips for all these pigs that like to follow tips. Got these hollow tips for all these pigs that like to follow tips. They trying to catch my homies riding